All right, so how am I going to put my various reference and inspirations all together into a finished digital painting? Well, I showed you how I created the base painting. And now I'm going to show you how we can customize a brush for the refined painting. So far I've just made a mess with the refined paint layer because I've been showing you the differences between setting up brushes, right? We want to brush more like that. So I'm just going to delete all that, and I'm going to save my work. This is what I want everyone to do no matter where you are in the process, because I'm going to teach you how to make your own brush. And people spend a lot of money, strangely, like on brushes, on ABR files that they can download, when really it's incredibly easy to make your own brush. And the important thing is not having the shape of the brush, it's knowing how to customize its settings. So how do we do this? We're going to say File New. So each of you are going to do this, and please do it with me, because it will come in handy for you, even if you're not ready for refined paint yet. File New in Photoshop. You're going to name that file your name and then brush. And you can give it a cuter name too. I'm going to say Brush Muppet. Muppet Dog. But you only need one brush. Now, under width, it's not going to be 11 by 14 inches. And for the first time, it's not going to be in inches at all. We're going to do this in pixels. So click on the drop down, get to pixels. Because brushes cannot be more than 3,500 pixels big, and there's no reason to make them the maximum. That makes them less efficient, makes them go slower. So I designed my brushes at 1,000 by 1,000 pixels. So we're creating a new Photoshop file named with our name and a brush at 1,000 by 1,000 pixels. The resolution doesn't matter because we're setting the pixel dimensions. So it's going to be 1,000 by 1,000 pixels. Now I want you to use the brush you've been using. So it's just the hard round pressure size brush, right? I was using it at 90%, and I was using it at an opacity of like, I'll do like 80. And what we're doing is we're making, I'm just going to draw it for you. This is a paintbrush. It's a wooden handle. It's got a metal collar, and that metal collar holds hair, right? If I were to take this brush and press it, angle down, just like this, into a stamp pad, like to take a fingerprint, and then I was to take the brush, lift it off of the stamp pad, and press it back down on this piece of paper, this would be a round brush, and its imprint would look like this. It'd be a little bit darker in the middle and kind of flared out at the sides. Make sense? So what we are creating when we design a brush is the fingerprint of the brush. Now there are rounds where the tip looks kind of like this, right? There are flats where the tip looks like this. There are filberts, which are some of my favorite, which have a chisel tip. So the harder you press, the more angular they get. And there are fan brushes, which are used for blending, that look like this. Right? All of those will give you slightly different effects when you press them in. So how do we make the brush? Just going to erase that all. I like to always do it to fill up a diagonal shape about like this. So I don't like to make a pure round brush because I like there to be some directionality to it. So it will always be oblong. So let me just give you kind of the generic type. So what do? I start by making a lot of little strokes. Basically at 45-degree angles. This is to get the fingerprint of the brush. And they get more layered and heavier towards the middle. And you can just do little dots as well. Do little slashes. just like they're little hairs from the brush. And this won't make, even if your brush is messy, it won't make your refined paint messy. It's going to all have to do with how you set it up. But what this helps much better than a standard brush is it will help with blending because it's got gaps in it. In brushes, you want gaps. And then where is it going to be heaviest? Well, near the middle, right? So there's going to be fewer gaps near the middle. So does it look kind of like a fingerprint? Right? Now, what's this brush shape? This brush shape is basically a filbert shape. Like that. And the harder you press, the more of this kind of gets in there and those bristles kind of bend out. Okay, now it couldn't be simpler. If you have the 1000 by 1000 pixel setup, now all you do is you say edit. It doesn't matter what color you painted it in, though it helps if it's a dark color. I go to edit and I'm going to say define brush preset. That is saving a brush. And then it will say, do you want to name it that? What you named your file, and you say okay. And now I have that brush. So let me test it out. Let's make a new layer. Let's erase the background. Command A, delete. Fill it with white, right? So now this is the brush. And if I tap once, it gives me that fingerprint. But if I paint with it, boom. The problem is it's got some gaps in it, but you see how it's all locked into the same angle and the same size. So let's mess with it. Let's make it smaller. And now let's paint with it. Because it's locked in the same angle, it looks very mechanical, and that's not what I want. So what do I do instead? I am going to play with brush settings. So I go to Window, Brush Settings. Not brushes, brush settings. You can do this with any brush. This is right now what my brush is doing, and I don't like that. So I'm going to click, it's like layer styles. I'm going to click on shape dynamics. These are qualities you can give to your brush. And the first thing is I'm going to jitter its size. So it's not always the exact same size. Does that help? It helps a little bit. Right? Make it look less mechanical. Next, I'm going to change its control to being pin pressure. So it can go thick to thin. That's going to help a lot. Next, I'm going to play with the minimum diameter. I'm just going to increase it a little bit so it doesn't get too tiny. But that one doesn't matter all that much. Okay, next, angle jitter. This is the magic sauce. This is what really matters. So if you set your angle jitter for a little bit, then it's going to blend very controllably for smooth painting. Right? If you set your angle jitter to be really heavy, which I'm going to do because I want a lot of energy, then it's going to be a little bit softer edged and a little bit more fragmented. Okay? And then the last thing is the roundness. So the roundness is how tight the core gets. And the softer you want it, the less roundness you need. So I'm going to take it to about 20%. And now this is what my brush looks like. And that's pretty good. It's not quite there yet. That's just shape dynamics. But you see how that looks a lot more organic? Right? Especially if I'm going to start using different colors. And they can kind of blend into each other. And now the edge already gives me some blending, right? So this is the next thing I use. I use texture, just like layer styles. And the texture I use is the water texture, that one. And then what really matters is the depth of it. For whatever reason, you set the depth to be really low, and it will give more openness to your brush. So you get more of that, what I think of as canvas texture or paper texture. So now when I use it, this is what the brush looks like. And that's going to blend colors much, much better. So let me try mixing between these colors. What do? I do it at a lower opacity, around 60%, and I paint one color over the other, and then I steal that color and I paint between it. And now it only takes like a couple steps to get the blend right between them. Much better than the standard brush. Okay, now what do? I go back to my painting, and that brush is going to be the default setting. And if I ever lose it, I find it on the bottom of my brushes. So there's my Muppet Dog brush right there. But if I ever move to a different brush and then move back to this one, I'll have to reset my brush settings. So it's not a bad idea. Once you've gotten it to where you like it, go ahead and do a targeted screen grab of your brush settings to put in your assignment, so you know how to recreate it with shape dynamics and texturing. Smoothing is just on default, just leave it, it's fine. All right, now I'm going to use that brush. I don't need to save this file because the brush will be saved as long as I save this project where I've used the brush. And so now it will always be there to use. Okay, so in my refined paint layer, I'm going to use this brush. I'm going to use it at about 60%. And now, how can I set up my refined paint layer? I'm going to bring the reference, my primary reference, and I'm going to bring it closer to where I want to paint. Because I want to get the focal points plotted in pretty quickly. So I'm going to make a duplicate of this. I'm going to drag it in closer. So it's right there, right? Then I'll go ahead and lock those again. And this way I can now zoom in. And I'm not even zoomed in at 100%. I'm only at 50%. But this is a good way for me to start finishing off parts of this painting. All right, so refined paint. Same thing, but I'm at a lower opacity with a customized brush. I'm going to steal color, and then I'm going to start painting with it. And at first it's not going to seem like it's doing much because it's working over the top. But as it's doing that, it's starting to blend color. So I have to really build all of these up. And I'm stealing from the colors I already have, stealing from colors in my reference. And what does that refined paint look like? Let me merge these two together so I can just turn them all off and on in one. So I had my fill layer and then the base color, so I'm just going to merge those together. So that is what it looks like, right? Kind of like colored pencil. Make sure your base color is locked. And now the rest of my painting, I'm just going to be in this layer, building up these kind of textures, playing with different opacities. I can change the size of my brush at any type, but I'm just going to stay on this customized brush. And that's going to mix and blend and make everything work. It just takes time. I'm going to do a lot with a dark color first, especially in the shadows. I'm going to try to get those blues in there too. Maybe some dark greens. Any colors you put down, you can then steal from yourself later. Maybe some of these pinks. And let's get some brights. Not pure white, but pretty close. And even if I do use pure white, because I'm only at 60%, that's still going to just mix in with the colors under.